is everyone doing? Thank you so much for coming. Misty, John, Caitlin, there we go. Addie, what's up, girl? Get my music down. Anyone else have to like bump the music to get into mode here? I am so glad you guys have joined today. And I'm sure, yep, as I thought, we're going to have a lot more coming in from the waiting room. As we are waiting, I would love you guys to start blowing up the chat, introduce yourself, let people know where are you coming from. I have met some of my very best friends in the chats before. One in particular, I'll never forget. I was doing a Tony Robbins event. There's thousands and thousands of people in it. Everyone was putting in the chat where they were from. This girl writes, Salt Lake City. I had just moved back to Salt Lake. I said, I want a friend. I want a friend who likes Tony Robbins too. And we ended up becoming best friends. She has gotten me booked for more speaking engagements than she hasn't. She has gotten me booked everywhere. She became the ultimate PR girl. So I fully believe in the power of a chat. I fully believe in the power of putting where you're from and just giving people a little bit of that insight. And then the kicker is you gotta go in and take it. Like someone puts their information, you gotta go take it and go do something with it and link arms, and you never know where it's going to take you. So that first coffee shop meeting ended up with thousands of dollars in my pocket, more speaking gigs, more stages, and one of my very, very, very best friends, Sophie. So thank you guys for joining in. I'm sure we're going to have a few others today. And so who here wants to know how to like roll into any event feeling like a freaking icon? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. If you didn't raise your hand, you're in the wrong room. That's what we're going to talk about today. So thank you guys for joining in. I really want to go into a few things about that aspect. And one is about the mindset shift that I fully believe is what it takes to roll into any room like an icon. Two is how to use fashion and style actually as a tool and not something to scare you. I get that question a lot of like, I don't know what to wear, or I don't feel like I can wear that. And they get really, really scared. They say, I really want to dress up, but there's always a but in there. So we're going to get rid of the but, and we're going to say, where do they want to dress up? And this is what I'm wearing. Okay. So we're going to use it as a tool. And then the third is really how to get into your body and get out of your head. Because I think that's the biggest problem with when people want to walk into a room is they're all up in their head. What is everyone thinking about me? Am I saying the right thing? Like, am I showing up the way I should? Am I even in the right room? What the hell am I supposed to do? And they're all up in their head. And then before you know it, they're completely out of their body, and people can feel that. You notice that when you feel that with someone, you're like, you are so up in your head, honey. Like, let me just hold your hand, give you a little hug and say, it's okay, get back down in that body. So those are what we're going to go over today. And I really hope that it's going to help you in any room that you walk into, from picking your kids up at preschool, and you never know the connections there, right, Addie? Addie had a great connection there, dropping her kid off at school. Addie is like the epitome of showing up. She's one of my icons, and she's been a lot of fun to coach. So big loves to you as well. Or to a huge event, right? A huge event of hundreds of thousands of people. You want to be able to show up and get out of your dang head, and you want to really get into your body and show up with that energy. So, oh, sweet. We got Eliza even joining us. Eliza is one of my OG icons. I'm so glad you're here. All right. So I'm going to go and share my screen, and we're going to kind of get into it. But before we do, we've got in the chat, it looks like we've got people from Spanish Fork, from Texas, from Utah. So also maybe you guys could put in the chat your Instagram handle and let people know where they can find you. And I really encourage you guys to start some of these connections and start really nurturing these in a way. And I will say that anyone that you connect with here, actually, let's do this. Thank you, Misty, for kicking us off. Okay, so the person that you are below, I want you to go into their Instagram right now. If you're on your phone, this might be a little bit harder. Go into their Instagram, literally go follow them. Misty, you're the first one, so you're going to loop us back to the end, okay? So whoever the last one is, you're going to go follow them. So Caitlin's going to follow Misty. Addie's going to follow Caitlin. So you're going to go through and you're going to follow the person above you, which means that everybody has to join in on this little party. And you're going to send them a DM. And you're going to start it with Aloha icon. And the reason why I like to start with the words Aloha icon, one, I lived in Maui for many years and the Aloha spirit's in me, but the true meaning of the word Aloha is presence of breath. And you are truly, it is a presence of breath. You are breathing life into that connection. And then I'm also a firm believer that we fully show up as we are spoken to. Our words have power. You call someone an icon, and their shoulders do a little bit of this, and they sit up a little bit more straight, right? When you call someone something endearment, when you say, aloha, beautiful, they're like, oh, thank you. Or they say, aloha, smarty pants. You're like, heck yeah, I'm smarty pants, right? When you call someone these names, it's okay to smile. I see smiles starting to, I saw like you're trying to smile. Trust me, like we're gonna have a lot of fun in this next 45 minutes. But when you do this and you call someone out on that name, they're gonna show up differently. And that's why I've really committed to anytime I greet my icons, I call my students all my icons, any of the people that have worked with me that I've coached over the years. Eliza's like one of my OOGs, Abby's a current icon. Like you're once an icon, always an icon. But I noticed that when I started calling them this, that they showed up differently, that their energy responded back to me so differently. So we're going to breathe life into this new relationship with Aloha. And we're going to call it out like an icon. You're going to say Aloha icon and then finish the sentence. What's up? What are you passionate about? I love open-ended questions, clearly. I want to know more about these people. Tell me more about what lights you up. You really want to get someone talking about themselves in a good way? You ask them that question. Tell me more about what lights you up. You'll get to know them really, really quick instead of saying, how are you? Okay. From here on out, we do not say, how are you? It's like a dead zone. Like, I'm good. No, they're not. Really ask them how they're doing. Let's get into it. All right. So everybody in there, did everyone put in their Instagram? So Misty can close up the loop. Dawn, I don't think we've seen from you. Eliza, put in your Instagram handle. We got to finish that loop. Awesome. And then while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to do those. All righty. Still like to be able to see you guys over here. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so welcome to the Iconic Style Masterclass. This is truly how I believe, or how I do it actually. I'm teaching from my own experience, how I show up to any event like an icon. I show up with pure energy. I feel like I truly, truly do light up the room. I love to bring that energy because I will say that I fully believe our energy is our currency. Oh, we already did that. Aloha, presence of breath. Look at me ahead of my own notes. So there you are, presence of breath, and then icon, a person or thing widely admired, especially for having influence or significance in a particular sphere. Now that part's really important because if you're going to show up like an icon, you have to know what you stand for. You have to know what kind of energy you want to bring. What kind of influence you want to have over people, what kind of significance in that specific sphere you want to have, meaning what do you want to be known for? Because if you are not lining those two up, you may as well be wearing a costume. You may as well be wearing a mask when you show up into these events because you're not fully in alignment with who you are and what you're trying to get across to people. Okay, so I always have agreements when I start my events, when I start any of my talks, when I start any of this, because I feel like if we are not on the same page, we may as well just be asking, how are you? right? So for me, it's permission to play. And by that, I mean, really play with meanings, allow yourself to have this playfulness with different perspectives, with different possibilities. Just play, play, play. Get into that feeling of play. And I want you to create magic in real time. Don't let this be something you listen to passively. If you're here, be here and do the work in real time. This is very, very interactive. And if any of you guys have worked with me, you know that we create the magic in real time by doing the work in real time. We show up, we make the most out of our time and money and our energy, and we do the work in real time. And then we show up with full energy, full presence, like we are here in the zone and making things happen. You good with that? Everyone put up a number 3 if you're good with all 3 agreements. Okay, we got 3. Misty, are you in? Okay. I love it. This is going to be a lot of fun. Misty, I adore you already. All right, here we go. So I always believe that healing, if it's not fueled with self-love, then we may as well, again, not show up. Because so often people are showing up to do the work because they hate something about themselves versus I love myself enough to do this. I love myself enough to show up and work out. I love myself enough to eat healthy. I love myself enough to do the work in real time so I can create magic in real time. Versus I hate my thighs so I can't eat cake. Versus I hate the way I look in the mirror. Therefore, I need to show up and do all these things because I hate myself so much. Do you feel the difference in energy? It's massive when you say, I love myself so much that I'm going to do everything that is in alignment with the direction that I want to go. For me, it's huge. Okay. If you get nothing else out of today, I want this to be like your homepage. Okay. Like take a screenshot of it, whatever you got to do. But remember this, that your energy is your currency. This is the single fundamental truth that I live by, that my energy is how I'm transacting with the world. It is literally this give and receive, this give and take, this here is my energy and this is what I'm getting back in return. It is that whole like show up and provide value in order to get the bigger result. Your energy is your currency. It will fuel your relationships, your goals, your passions, the direction that you're headed. It will fuel your dreams. And if you're not showing up with that energy, you may as well be asking, how are you? That's going to be our joke for the day. May as well be asking, how are you? Because it is a dead zone question. So your energy is your currency. And I want to start by telling a little story that I feel like is the best way to describe this. It was 2019, July. I literally remember it all. I think it was the 27th. Okay. I had just gotten tickets to my very, very, very first Tony Robbins event. I was so excited. Any Tony Robbins fans? I'm obsessed. I love him. I've done so many of his events now and trainings and even certified under him, all these great things. And I had shown up for my first event and I was so excited. It was in Dallas and I got there so early that I was like in that first little handful of people that showed up. Little by little, the line literally went like around the block by the time it was time to go in the doors. And I was right up front. And they pulled me aside and they said, in a minute, when we open these doors, it's going to be a mad dash. It's going to be insanity. And so we're going to let you in first. And Steve, I remember his name, Steve is going to show you to your spot where all the ADA seating is, the handicap seating. Okay. So any of you guys that don't know me, that can't see, I am a full-time wheelchair user. I have a spinal cord injury, so I cannot move or feel my legs. And so I'd gone up front and I was so excited. I'm like, hey, Steve, and you can tell by his badge that he had been to like 27 Tony Robbins events. Like he had been around the block. And he's all excited. We're kind of making small talk and he shows me up to my seat and it's this 8,000 piece per person arena. And the stadium is full and the ADA seating is literally up around the rim of the entire arena. Like I'm up against the wall. I can't go up any further. I'm the very top of the nosebleed. And I look at him and I'm just thinking, I was first in line and this is my seat. Like it didn't make any sense to me. And I was kind of pissed. Like I'd gotten there so early. I was so jazzed. I'm like, what is going on? And he's all excited. He's like, look, you can see everything. And I said, yeah, but I can't feel it. Like I need to feel this event. I was like, is there any way I can get down to the floor? Because it was like either the very top or the floor seats. And he just looks at me and he kind of laughs. He's like, oh, he's like, the people that are down on the floor seats spend a lot of money to get down there. And it was kind of this like, I don't think you can afford it kind of a thing. Right. And I said, but Steve, like, I gotta feel this. And he's like, is there anything you can do? I was like, how can I get down there? And he kind of just looks at me. He's like, I'm not making you any promises, but I'll be back in a little bit. And I'm like, okay. Like I'm putting all my money on Steve, right? And I'm getting excited and people are filling in and there's just so many people there. And I'd actually gone with my old business partner, Jake. And we kind of made this pact, like whoever can go further, like don't kind of wait behind. I was like, don't wait behind for me. Like you don't need to sit in the upper bowl with me. You couldn't go as far down as your seat will allow because they were all those stadium seats. And Steve comes up a little bit later and he comes up and he brings a woman and he says, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. And her name is Nyla. And I just would like to introduce you to, I feel like you two need to meet. And Nyla comes right up to me and she said, this whole weekend, I need you to stay out of here. And she like pops me on the head, like pops me on the forehead. I'm like, oh my God, who is this woman? And she says, I need you to play full out from your heart. And then if you do, it will always be inside of you. And I just remember this like magnetism. I was like, oh girl, I will. Like, I am so in it. I am here to play so full out. And she goes on to say, I've been a platinum partner with Tony Robbins since like 1984. She's been with him a long time. I had no idea what platinum partner meant at that time. And she says, I'd like you to come down to the floor seats and be my guest. I was like, oh my God, it is happening. And she brings me down to the floor. All the floor seats had started to fill in already. And she introduces me to this man. She says, Brian, this is Sarah. And Sarah, this is Brian. He's the floor manager. And she says, Sarah, my seats have kind of filled in around me, so you can't sit next to me. But she says, Brian, Sarah can sit wherever she wants. I'm like, who are these people? What the heck is happening? And he says, where do you want to sit? And I just said, I want to touch the stage. He said, okay. He takes me right up front. He takes a chair away and he puts this big white piece of tape and a big X on the floor. And he said, this is your spot. Anyone found standing or sitting in this spot, you come tell them that you come get me and I'll make sure that it's handled. This is your spot. So for 3 days straight, I didn't let go of the stage. I literally held it. I was like, I'm not letting go. I'm not letting go. And I played so full out, like gave my entire sense of being and kind of forgot about the other 8,000 people behind me and just was so focused on getting into my body and doing every exercise so full out, so much that there were moments where I was just sobbing or crying or dancing. And the camera kept panning on me because I was literally going insane. They were probably like, this is great footage that we're catching of this girl going crazy. And so it kept flashing of me on the big screen that I couldn't quite see. So it's like flashing me. So the whole stadium's watching it. And I am going absolutely insane. From that experience, I met so many people down in the floor, which if you are new to Tony Robbins, people that have floor seats that are platinum partners spend a minimum of $80,000 a year to have those seats. I was amongst so much wealth, more wealth than I'd ever been around. And prior to that, I really kind of believed that wealthy people were jerks. So this was a big shift for me around my money mentality and all of that. But what I did realize was how much currency my energy had, because those platinum partners, this was the UPW event. And a few months later would be the Date with Destiny event that was, tickets were like $7,500 just to go. The platinum partners that I met down on the floor at UPW all pooled their money together, bought my ticket for Date with Destiny, bought my flight, bought my hotel, and gave me spending money for food and so forth. They said, our event was so much better at UPW because you were there. We cannot imagine going to Date with Destiny without you and your energy. That is currency, my friends. That is power. That is worth so much more than money. So much more than money. Because the people that had the money, that's what they wanted. So your energy is 1000% your currency. All right. How's that for a fun story to kick us off? Is that good or what? Isn't that good? I just love that story. So much came from that one event. I can't even I ended up being on Tony's podcast. I ended up getting into a book because it was so many things. All right. So our style. I talk a lot about fashion as a tool. And for me, it goes back to style, because style is the manner in which you do something. So if you're doing something elevated, you're elevating your vibe, your frequency, your energy, your income, your fashion, your wardrobe, your circle. If you're elevating all of these things and you start to do things in a whole different manner, that's the energy and currency that you're bringing into places. That's the magnetism that people are going to be looking for. Okay, so I'm going to talk a lot about this concept of iconic identity. And iconic identity came by accident many, many years ago. This was before I went to that Tony event. And after I was injured, I went through, and this was 11 years ago now, actually just last week, celebrated my 11 years of being injured. And after that, I had a huge identity crisis, because I had no idea who I was anymore. And I felt like everything had been ripped away that I'd worked so hard to build up in my life, from professional jobs to relationships, everything in between, even my body, even my health, everything just took this massive hit. And I was really struggling for about 4 years. And anyone do this where you're like, I'm so great. Life's amazing. Things are so good. And then behind closed doors, you're like, things suck. I feel lonely. This is crap. Like, what is happening? And so there's this huge disconnect between I'm good and what's really happening inside of you. Anyone experienced that before? I know I'm not the only one. Thank you, Misty, for helping me not feel lonely on that. Yes. We do that so often. And here's the kicker. When you meet someone, how often can you tell when they're doing that? Oh, yeah. You can tell big time. I actually just had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine because I felt like she was very much stuck in that. And I said, it's not lining up for me. The energy that I'm getting from you, it doesn't feel real. Like, what's going on? And it opened up a whole conversation behind it. So when we talk about iconic identity, I want it to be really clear that this is not a mask. This is not a costume. And this is not fake it till you make it. This is not the pretending you're an icon and feeling like you're a piece of crap. This is knowing I'm an icon and I'm showing up appropriately. Because it is loving, attending, and using all of our parts to our advantage. I started doing some healing work using IFS therapy, internal family system therapy. And it's actually the internal family up in us. Anyone here heard of internal family system? They sometimes call it parts work in therapy. And what happens is that you're tapping into all the different parts of yourself in order to kind of relax them so you can get to the core of who you are. You get into the self, they call it, deep into the self. And I like to call myself my iconic identity. It is the part of me that is at its fullest potential. It's the part of me when I'm finally out of my own way. It is the part of me that is so fueled by belief in why I'm here and what I'm meant to do. It is the part of me that doesn't doubt. But how hard do you think it is to get down to that part? It's freaking hard, right? Because the doubt seems to always be there. The worry seems to be there. The disbelief seems to be there. So getting into a place of certainty into this part of us can take some time. So I will say that while today I do believe can have multiple breakthroughs for you that can lead to transformation, it is a constant practice to tap into your iconic identity. And it will not just happen with one masterclass. It will happen with continuous nurturing of that part of you. We agreed on that? I don't want to make any promises like today's changing your life. Well, it may change the perspective that changes your life, but you're going to change your life by consistently showing up in a new way. Whoops. Where'd my thing go? Whoops. Oh no. Let's see. There we go. Wrong way. So first and foremost, we get into our body. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but if we're not into our body, we're in our head. And Tony says, if you're in your head, you're dead. Anyone know that saying? You're in your head, you're dead. But if you're in your body, ooh, there's a knowing. So I told you a little bit about my love of the Hawaiian culture. And there's so many things about what the Hawaiians do that is it's just so rooted. It's so seated into a reverence for this life. And I love that. And they have something called your na'au. It's N-A'-A-U. Your na'au, and it's your deepest inner knowing. And if I showed you my camera, it's like right there. It's like your seat of thought. It rests right in your solar plexus. And the literal translation is your deepest inner knowing. So I say to myself, I like to get seated, get into my seat of thought. There's a really great book called The Seat of the Soul. So that kind of plays into that as well. But it's your knowing. Have you ever had that experience where you got that intuition and you got a message that you're like, I didn't hear that up in my head. Like it came from somewhere deeper in my body. Who's got that experience? Oh yeah, totally. Right. And then what happens when we don't listen to it? What do we always say afterwards? Put in the chat. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew not to listen to my intuition. I knew it. I knew it. And I didn't listen because what happens? We talk ourselves out of it using our head. So what I like to think of is I like to get into my body. I like to get into my deepest inner knowing. And then I like to use my brain to get me there instead of talk myself out of it. Okay, this is sweet little Sarah after she got injured. This was actually my first day getting into a wheelchair after I got hurt. So I was flipped on a four-wheeler and broke my back instantly losing the use of half of my body. And this was the first day they got me up into a wheelchair, because up until that point, anytime I would sit up, I would have these massive headaches that were absolutely debilitating. I got spinal meningitis for a period there and just had a lot of issues that were continuous. And so this was the first day they got me up into my wheelchair. And I remember seeing myself in a mirror and losing it. I was just crushed because I saw this wheelchair that just felt so like disabled, right? Like all I saw was this disabled version of myself. And I hadn't had a shower in God knows how long. I'd been in a hospital bed forever. And just seeing myself like this, and you can kind of see it's dark here, like underneath my eyeballs, and just all the life seemed to have gotten sucked out of my body. And it was a long road to get to this place of confidence. And I think a lot of the times we will see someone where they are, right? They say, like, don't compare your chapter 1 to their chapter 20. And I don't want this to ever feel impossible for someone. If you feel far, based on your confidence or your certainty or your iconic self, if it feels far off, know that this is where I began. This is where I began. And it was so hard to come back from that. But what made it harder were those initial 4 years where I did the mask. We're good. Everything. Your voice goes like up 60 octaves because you're like, you don't even believe your own voice. I'm fine. I'm fine. Right? So it took a minute. But then things started to shift once I did this one thing that was very much on accident. And it was about 4 years after this initial photo. And people were starting to ask about my recovery and things, how things were going. And we'd moved to Maui at this point. And I decided to start a blog. And I wanted to come up with something to call myself. And at that point, the only thing I knew about personal development was that our words had power. Because frankly, I kept calling myself disabled for many years, and I felt extremely disabled. So I thought I need to start calling myself something different if I'm ever going to feel empowered. And I came up with this name, Vertical Blonde. And if you found me on Instagram, you know that that's my handle. It's more than just a catchy handle. It was a lifeline. It was truly how I was able to get myself out of the dark hole. Because little by little, I started to use Vertical Blonde as like this North Star. What would Vertical Blonde do? What would me at my fullest, most incredible potential do? That's what she represented. And so over time, Vertical Blonde started to show up more and more and more. And I picked these first 2 photos on purpose because for me, getting back to a side of my sensuality and feeling as a sensual woman once again was the most important thing on my journey. Because I drive around all day long on this masculine piece of metal. It feels anything but feminine. And I had to work so hard in the opposite direction to regain my love for my body back. So I don't show these to show off. I show to what I needed to see in myself. This was crucial in my own journey. And so I want you to ask right now, what part of me feels dormant? What part of me am I craving to meet? What part of me feels lost? What part of me feels disabled? What part of me feels broken? What part of me do I miss? Or what part of me have I never yet met, yet I crave? I want to commend each and one of you for doing the work right now in real time. and for using this as a reflection in your own life of what you are craving to meet, to see, to know, or to experience. In that middle photo, you can see that we wrote words on our back. It was called the Unleash campaign. And we wrote 4 words on our backs first that we wanted to get rid of, that we were calling ourselves that on a regular basis. And you can kind of read them here, but the second one down was undesirable. I felt like I was completely undesirable. No one would ever want me, let alone want me romantically. There's also sorry, I think is the third one down. I kept being sorry for who I was. I kept being sorry for feeling like a burden. And then needy. I felt like I burdened every single person in my life because of my new needs. And I felt needy. And then the last one was small. I felt so small and insignificant. And then we went through and we wrote the words that we wanted to embody. Iconic was the top one. Desirable. Fighter. Free. And leader. I'd like you to do this exercise now. What are 4 words that you say to yourself or call yourself on a regular basis that are no longer serving you and you'd like to get rid of? Knowing that the more honest you are here, the more the breakthroughs are waiting. And then on the flip side, what are 4 words that you want to embody? You think of this word and you're like, yes, like that's what I want. Or maybe it's not a raw, maybe it's more of a peacefulness. Maybe it's a groundedness. Maybe it's sexual. Maybe it's free. Maybe it's powerful. Maybe it's iconic, unstoppable, feminine, joyful, playful. I'd love to see in the chat some of the things that are coming up for you guys. You can put them in the chat. Maybe write 1 or 2 of the ones that you want to get rid of. If you really want some accountability, write all 4. Push yourself a little bit more. Get yourself out of your comfort zone of hiding behind a screen, which we all do all day long. But here's a place where you can get really honest of, these are the things I want to get rid of. And when you hear another woman get honest and vulnerable with her words, what does it do for us? It gives us full permission, right? That's the power of us sharing our stories. I know that me sharing my story gives others that same permission. Addie wants to get rid of unworthy, not smart, and not thin enough. Ooh, who felt those? I felt that, Addie. Thank you for sharing. Dawn's got insecure, anxious, forgetful. But when I love it, she's like, ... zen, happy, and comfortable. Thank you so much, Dawn, for sharing. And what a beautiful shift, right? From insecure and anxious to zen and happy. I do too, Addie. I love zen. Oh, it's just like we are in flow. We are so in flow. What else? What are some other words that you want to gain, that you want to call yourself? Misty wants to get rid of old, out of place, ugly, not smart, and replace them with leader, inspiring, playful. Hell yeah, girl. Hell yeah. Jackie wants to get rid of worthless, unlovable, anxious, and she wants to get happiness, love, and powerful. Hell yeah. Doesn't it feel different even just to write those out? Get rid of, for Eliza, get rid of annoying, lazy. She wants to gain wanted and successful. It's fascinating how much we can get to know each one of these people just by 6 words. How much closer do you feel to these people? One, you're like, oh my God, I'm not the only one that feels this way. And oh my God, I see you and I celebrate these words that you're trying to embody. It's so powerful. Thank you, everyone, so much for sharing. Seriously grateful for that. So we're going to get into the iconic identity building. So I love this painting so much. If you can't tell, this is actually me. It's a painted. So a girlfriend of mine, she's in Maui. She's an artist, very powerful one at that. And she asked me one time what my fantasy was. And I met her just before my 5-year anniversary for my accident. So about that 4.5-year mark, I'm just like starting to say, my words have power, my words have power, vertical blonde. I'm trying to like vertical blonde every day. And she says, what's your fantasy? And then she has these gorgeous fantasy portraits where she'll paint you as like a goddess and a mermaid and all these beautiful things. And I just said, my fantasy is to walk on the beach again. I just want to feel the warmth in my toes. And she's like, I can paint that. Heck yeah. And so we set it all up that she was painted for my 5-year anniversary. And seeing my legs again, what we did is I actually took photos of my legs back when I was walking. Then we did a photo shoot to capture my upper half of my body. And she went back and she put these together to give me my ultimate fantasy. Seeing my legs again, the exact way that my thighs met my knee. I mean, it's like, it is spitting image of my legs. I cannot even get over how well she put these together. And this painting is like 3.5 feet tall. It's massive. I get to stare at it all day long. And I'll constantly look into my own eyes. And it's this visual of vertical blonde and this true north of what vertical blonde would do. And that's what I want to help you guys create today. So in order to show up as an icon to events, to life, we got to first discover who the icon is inside of you. And we did a little bit of work already with these words, right? The ones that we're moving towards. Allison, thank you for sharing. She says, I want to get rid of weak, unsupportive, indecisive. Oh my gosh, who wants to get rid of indecisive? Yes, please. How long can we stay in this like land of indecisiveness? Holy hell. Unlovable. And she wants to replace them with powerful, playful, leader, and inspiring. Oh, so good. So good. I love all these. So that's going to give you a starting point, right? That is becoming your true north. But we're going to do a little bit more work than that. Because what I believe is that what we are attracted to and what we are craving is simply us at our core. That when we see something in someone else that we really, really are drawn to, it's a reminder and a reflection of who we are under all of that indecisiveness, anxiousness, worry. It's underneath all of that, but it's waiting to get out. And so what I did with Vertical Blonde is I really started to create her intentionally. And I did it through this very exercise. So as we go through this, feel free to just start writing. And if you get off topic from the question I'm asking, because you get into the zone of writing, because I do fully believe in the pen to paper and what that does to get us out of our head and into real honesty within ourselves. But I want you to just get into a space of writing. And I want you to ask yourself, who are my style icons? Who are people that I look up to? Maybe they're celebrities. Maybe they are people that I watch on Instagram. Maybe it's people that I know in my personal world. Like, who are you drawn to? Their style, their vibe, their energy. Like, you're just like, they got it. Like, I don't know what they're drinking for breakfast and what's in their green smoothie, but I want it. That kind of person. Those are the ones that you're like, I just cannot get enough of them. I watch them all the time, or I pay attention to them, or just people that you are super, super drawn to. And I'd love to hear in the chat too. Throw a few out just to like help other people's brains start to work. For me, Lady Gaga like takes the cake. I love her so much. I love that she pushes every limit. She takes all kinds of style risks and they always pay off. Like, or maybe not always in other people's minds, but I feel like when someone takes a risk, it always pays off. J-Lo. Oh, I love J-Lo. She's a girl. She's so good. Gabrielle Lyons. We got Meghan Markle, Taylor Swift. Oh my gosh, we got the Swifties in the house already. I love it. Hilary Duff. So you can see that you're drawn. We've got so many different kinds of people. Like Hilary Duff and J-Lo, very different. But each of them is speaking to you, right? Iris Apfel. Oh my gosh, totally. I don't think I'm even saying the last name right. Maximalist. Yes, exactly. Over the top. It's like these over the top. And a fun thing, Scarlett Johansson. Ooh, she's got like this classicness to her too. And the fun story, like with me and Lady Gaga is her stage name. And it became this iconic identity for her. She would want to get up on stage and literally throw all of her energy onto the stage. And she had to embody a different part of her than Stephanie, right? Than the person that she is maybe at home, to the point where now Lady Gaga is who she is. It is who she is through her core. She created this person. Tony Robbins says the same thing. He says, I created this man on stage. He gets so passionate about it. They create this version of themselves. The ones that get into trouble are the ones that are putting on the costume and then they're not matching it with who they are at home. So the whole point of this is that who you are at home when no one's watching is the same person showing up, iconic to an event. That is the goal, my friends. That is the goal. So who else do you feel drawn to while watching their content? And then also while you're writing out these names for yourself, think about why you like them. What is about their vibe? How do they make you feel? What energy are they giving off? What does their clothing do for you? What about like the business they've created? Like, how do they make you feel? And this is going to help you take a better look and a more specific look on what you're drawn to and therefore who you are. I always say this is becoming the icon that you are. You already are this icon. We just got to get the other fluff out of the way. It's kind of like scooping off the top so we can actually see what's going on underneath. And then ask yourself a little bit deeper. What vibes do you wish you could embody? Like you see other people embodying it and you're like, I wish I could be that way. I wish I could do that. Again, I feel like this is a mirror. Whatever you are craving is actually who you are. And what you're craving is to be yourself. But sometimes we got to create that self. We got to get a little more intentional about it. And this one's my very favorite. How do you want to enter a room? When you enter a room, what do you want people to feel? I want people to feel like they just got plugged in. Like they just got lit up. I want them to feel so much energy from me that they could literally charge their battery with it. Dawn says, happy, positive. Addie says, welcome and not alone. Now, this is really, really great for you to notice, right? I'm going to use Addie as an example. She's one of my clients. I know she's going to be able to run with it. So when you want to make someone feel welcome and not alone, you have to be what? Welcoming. You have to have that energy in order to attract it, right? So Addie and I recently went to an event together, and I really believe in constantly giving my clients tips along the way. How can they energize a room better? How can they show up better? How can they just elevate things along the way as they go? And as we're walking through, I had a conversation with her and I said, it's so important what your face is doing as you're walking through a room. Because if you want people to feel welcoming, your face has to express that. That when they see you, they all of a sudden feel like, I feel like I've been friends with this girl forever. So we want to have a big smile, a warm heart, an open expression of our body, even that quick shift of putting our shoulders back and making eye contact with people along the way. Because if we don't want people to feel alone, yet when we're walking through a room, we're up in our heads. We've kind of got a resting bitch face, but we don't mean to. It's just because we're up in our head and we're like trying to think of what to do and we're all over the place. But what does that come across as? Not welcoming, right? Because we're like, that girl's all over the place right now. So if we got a resting bitch face and we're avoiding eye contact, it's not in alignment with making people feel welcome and not alone. That makes sense? It's like we got to give what we want to receive. So if I want people to feel charged up when they are with me, I want them to feel like I am literally a wall charger. I'm a socket for their charging. Then I got to come with an open energy ready to ignite. And I got to be fully charged to do that. This making sense? Following a little bit? Maybe some new perspectives. Remember in the beginning, I said, just give yourself that permission to play with some new possibilities that you didn't quite think of before. And that one thing of you just walking through an event space differently, with getting out of your head, getting into your body and starting to say, like, how can I make them feel more welcome? You're no longer up in your head about yourself, and it's now about other people, and they're going to feel that. Because an icon stands for something bigger. And you're breathing life. Remember the Aloha? This is all circling back together. Literally, I'm going to pull all this together in a bow, even better at the end. John says, my nephew once told me that I was the happiest person he had ever seen without smiling. I try to smile more because of it. Really beautiful perspective shift. So that's about making it congruent and match and be in alignment. Because when it's not, people feel like something's off. Love it. I love the work so far, you guys. This is amazing. All right, getting even deeper. Now this is more about you. So now we've kind of held up the mirror about the people that we are drawn to, that we are really just saying is a reflection of us. If we got super intentional about the icon that we are, we're going to go into full creation mode. Okay, so full creation mode. And I want you to just start going through this. Again, get out of your head. Actually, let's do a quick breathing exercise. Let's get you guys even deeper into your body. I see like some heads getting cracked, things like that. Let's get deep into our bodies. So sit up nice and straight. Get in full alignment. Because just like with my spinal cord injury, if something is off, it's literally going to cut off the movement from the rest of the body and the rest of the being. So we got to get in full alignment. Line up our body. I want you to place your right hand on your heart, and I want you to put your left hand right on your solar plexus that is right underneath your rib cage. This is the part we need to get in tune with. I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. There is the most powerful, unstoppable, undeniable, and iconic version of yourself waiting, scratching, craving to be unleashed. It is who you are and who you are meant to be. And the only person who can take it out of alignment is you. Rather than getting hard on yourself, use this as an opportunity to say, I get to choose. I get to choose who shows up. I get to decide how she shows up. I get to decide to go from the back of the room to the front of the stage. That is in my power. That is in my energy. That is my currency. I get to choose. Another deep breath in and release. As you are ready, you can blink open your eyes and grab your pen. Staying tapped into your body, I want you to ask yourself, my most iconic version of myself at my fullest potential, how does she move through life? What is her vibe? How does she make people feel? What is she getting ready for? How does she treat her body? How does she treat her family? What kind of friend is she? And this one's fun. Where can people find her? What is she busy doing? Allow that pen to just flow and see where it takes you. How does she stand or sit? How does she treat people she doesn't know? Again, this goes back to who you are when no one's watching. How do you treat the gas station worker? How does she keep her home? What kind of clothes does she wear? Sometimes it even is nice to talk about fabrics. She wears silky fabrics, or she wears really cozy fabrics. Or she wears shoes that kill her feet at the end of the day and she doesn't even care because she's having a blast wearing these crazy heels. And what do her clothes say about her? I do talk about clothing a lot because I feel like it is such a powerful tool that helps us to get into that version of ourselves. And also it helps people to treat us in the way that we want to show up. Because like it or not, in a seventh of a second, our brain is making impressions of people, places, and things. Quicker than a second, you guys. Your brain is deciding if this person is safe, if this person is likable, if you should hang out with this person, if they deserve more of your time and energy or money. You are deciding all of that in a seventh of a second. So people are deciding that of you. And it better be in alignment with this version that you're trying to embody and create. Otherwise, you are just hammering in the nail of the old version. How does she take care of her family? And how does she take care of her body? Again, if it's not in alignment from at home to showing up at the event, it's going to feel like a mask when you're at an event. And we all know, we all agreed at the beginning, we can feel that in someone when they don't match. When you're like, your face is telling me one thing, but your energy is telling me something else. Okay, the most important part, and I think the most fun. Vertical Blonde was the name I gave to this iconic identity. This is how I was able to call her out like that. That is why we can say the word Taylor Swift and everyone's minds have a view and a picture of what it means. We can say anything in life and it's going to bring up our beliefs about it, right? Whether it is a more of like a global belief, like doctors, right? When you think of doctors, your brain has a belief about that. So this same kind of thing, when you say your iconic identity name, when I say Vertical Blonde, ooh, I know exactly what that means. I know exactly what she stands for. I know exactly where she's headed. So the power of a name, of this naming your iconic identity, is crucial. Dan Sullivan and it's great books. Tiffany, she's actually on the call. She got me onto his books. There's one called 10X is Easier Than 2X. Amazing book. I highly recommend it. But he talks a lot about your future self and getting into your future self now. So think of your iconic identity as your future self, and that's who you want to embody now. And you use it as a true north. What would what would Vertical Blonde do? How would Vertical Blonde show up? Would Vertical Blonde make the call? And if so, how would she show up on the other end of that call? So to pull this all together, come up with an iconic identity name. If you've done an exercise like this before in the past, I know a lot of personal developments, sometimes they have a version of this. If you've done anything like this before, I want you to ask yourself, does that name still do for me what I need it to do? Does it still help me to embody that next level version? And if not, it might be time for a new name. I'd love to hear in the chat some of the names that you're coming up with. Feel free to blow it up. I know it's always hardest to be the first one. Let's see, I think I've got Tana on the call. Tana's got a really great. Yeah, there it is. I knew she'd be popping up soon. Tana's got one that has just really helped her drive so many things. Volcano Soul. We also have Pearl. Addie's got this beautiful just way of speaking about pearls and how they're made, and it means so much to her. So what are some other names that you can come up with that helps you to embody all of the things that you just wrote about this version of yourself? This is where you can introduce it. Look how cute those girls are, pointing their little toes. So this is a great opportunity for you to really help to embody it. So the first step is of any icon, they would actually do the work. An icon would actually blow up the chat. An icon would actually stand for something bigger. An icon, I know, and here I know exactly what's happening in a lot of your heads. Oh my God, what if I don't get the right name? What if I don't get the perfect name? Then the whole thing is over and I've screwed up my whole thing. Is that happening with you right now, Misty? I can see it on your face. Yes, I knew it. I knew it. Okay, and I get it. Sometimes you do have to meditate on it. I 100% agree with that. Oh, we got Brick House. Oh my gosh, you even have like a theme song, Christina. That sometimes it does take a hot minute. And I will say that it took me a hot minute to come up with Vertical Blonde. It took me about 6 weeks. I played with so many names. But here's the thing, if you don't choose a first name, you can't get to the right name. So get a working name going on, okay? And it could be even like Miss Confident, right? It could be an actual attribute that you just kept writing over and over and over again. It'll be something like that, but you have to have something working progress. Like I had like soaring Sarah for a while. Like what the heck? I had like running goddess because I was trying to think of all these ways to use my legs again. And I kept thinking about it and I kept thinking about it, kept thinking about it. And all of a sudden I landed on this name, this word vertical. And it felt so sexy and right to me. I was like, oh, she's hot. Like I want to be Vertical Blonde's friend. Yes, I found her. So you have to at least have a working name in order to get to the right name. So land on something, right? Even Addie, she's in here with Pearl. Hers went so many different directions with Pearl. It's like powerful Pearl, but none of us could pronounce it. So we got rid of the powerful. We just know that Pearl's really powerful. So it has to just be something that is your little bow. It's your way to wrap it up. But if you don't have a first name, you can't get to the right name. Yes, meditate on it. Here's the thing, you guys. Icons do the work. Icons show up. I'm really, really proud of you guys for showing up. And I want you to continue to show up and continue to do the work. Continue to let it simmer. If you can, don't jump on a call or into work right away after this. Get into a quiet place. Put on a song that makes you feel really, really powerful and do that. And I love that even Tana brought it up. She says, I also like and use Dream Facilitator. I tap into both of my iconic names. I've got 3 core iconic identity names. I've got Vertical Blonde. She is like kicking ass in business. I've got Soulful Sarah. She's the one that I got to tap into when I guide you through meditations. And I've got the mother. And the mother knows exactly what's best for my kid. And the mother will go to any length to make sure my son's good, happy, whole, and healthy. So the mother, right? We've got all these different things, and all these serve different versions of myself. None of them are a mask. None of them. And that is what I really want you to get through to you today. It is not a mask. It is not fake it till you make it. I think that that is dangerous because I think that is where sickness comes from. I do. I think it is. They even say depression is depressed emotions. That is all it is. It is them being depressed and not being able to be released. Being able to tap into this and the different versions of yourself should bring you back into alignment versus feel like a mask. Yes, you're setting yourself free. Thank you, Tana. You are setting yourself free. I was going through a really, really hard time in my life a few years ago. And I literally got pink Post-its. I only have orange right here, but I took pink Post-its and I wrote, I am free. And I put them everywhere. I put them next to light switches. I put them into drawers. I put them in my car. I put them on my mirrors. And it was this reminder of I am free to think, act, be, and do exactly what feels in alignment to me. Because I was so tired of feeling like a prisoner to my own smile. Because it wasn't real. This is about setting yourself free, unleashing that version of yourself. And if you do, I promise you, you'll start to make an impact with your story, because you will be known for and you will stand for something bigger than yourself. I want to thank you guys for coming today. This is exactly what we are going through on a whole day of Vertical Ambition on October 7th. I know a lot of you guys on here. First of all, let's put it in the chat. Who's already coming? I know I've got probably half of you guys on here that are already coming. Misty's coming. Cassidy's coming. Of course, Tana's coming. She's getting up on stage. Yes, we've got Christina. Who else? My chat. I can't put my thing down. Eliza, I wish you were. She's up in Canada. So any of you guys that are still on the fence, this is literally what we're going to be going through for an entire course of a day, including some breakthrough exercises. And I really do encourage any of you guys that already got your ticket to show up like a freaking icon. Like, use the fashion as a tool that day more than ever. That anything goes. Anything goes. Okay? Anything goes. Just know that the day will get more intense as my outfits will. Like, my outfits are going crazy that day. I'm so excited to just bring it all out. But don't let it stop on that day. Start practicing now. 10 out. Okay? Not tomorrow, but 10 out. Start practicing now. And I do one thing, and I'll leave you with this. Every single day, I get up, and the first thing I do is get ready for the day. Yes, even before I work out, before I do anything, I get ready, and I get ready with the intention that the biggest opportunity of my life is happening today. I'm meeting the person that can change my life. I'm meeting the client that I'm going to rock. I'm going to meet the man of my dreams, even though I'm totally not in the dating mindset right now. But you know what I mean? Like, the opportunity of a lifetime is coming today. And not only that, but they're going to knock on your door. They're going to say, the limo's outside. We're taking you to the private jet. And then we're taking you to the island, which is where we're going to tell you about the opportunity. But guess what? You better be ready. You better be camera ready, because the cameras are following too. That's how I get ready through life. That's happening to now. And so by doing that, you get yourself already into that iconic energy the first thing of the day. And then as you're going through your day, if you need to post something on social, if someone calls you for a lunch date, if you run into someone at the Starbucks line, guess what? You're freaking ready. You're ready. So if you've not gotten your ticket already, I really want to encourage you to come. You can use that code Masterclass for half off. And I'd love to see each and every one of you there. I want to get a picture with you. I want to get a picture with your iconic self. And I hope that this really served, that no matter what the event is that you're going to, no matter where you're showing up, no matter who you're meeting, no matter how you're going through life, that you now have a new true north. That you're able to ask yourself, what would the iconic version of myself do? But remember, you're icons now. Icons show up. They show up for something bigger. They live ready. They stand for something. And they have so much fun in the process. How are you feeling? Are you feeling a little different? Do I get thumbs up? Awesome. Yeah, baby. I really hope, I'm so excited to see. I know the majority on the call are already coming to the event. And if it is not feasible for this one, I really, really encourage you to find something that speaks to your soul and start going to more events. Because what it does is it gets you in constant practice mode as showing up as an icon. It never happens the first time. It's always a work in progress. Because as you continue to grow, What do we say, girls? New levels, new devils, right? And you got to be ready for them. You got to be ready. So live ready, icon up, and thank you so much for your time today. I do not take it lightly. Thank you, guys. So much love, so much love. I even got all my icons behind me, all my icon. See those girls? Awesome, you guys. Thank you again. I look forward to seeing more of you.